Okay, good afternoon. I'm Jeff Costco from the Educational Technology Center, and today is the last brown bag of the semester, and it's going to be on using web conferencing tools in your online classes. And up here I have the handout location if you want a printed handout. It's in a PDF format, and you can just jot that address down and pick that up if you want to. I'm going to actually use Adobe Connect Pro as the basis for this presentation. So as you can see up here, it allows you to use a PowerPoint inside of this web conferencing tool, and I just advance it with these little buttons down here, okay? And here's our agenda for today. We're going to look at how to use simple web conferencing tools that are available in Angel, which is our campus standard learning management system. And then we're also going to look at a more robust conferencing tool, which is called Adobe Acrobat Connect Pro. And currently we're using version 7.5 of that software. And soon we'll be upgrading, or they will upgrade us to version 8 sometime in the next 30 to 60 days. Okay, so with the Adobe Connect Pro, we're going to look at how to set up meetings, how to invite students, how to upload and share content with your students, and conducting and archiving sessions. Okay? Okay, so first is the Angel chat tool. And we're using Angel version 7.4, and it has chat, live office hours, and whiteboard and screen sharing built in. Okay, so this shows you generally how that looks. I also have a class here that we can show in an actual class. Typically we're going to go to the Communicate tab, and on there are by default, the live chat tool. And so typically we know that if we click this settings icon, we can set up and add live chats to our course. Okay, just by clicking add live chat, putting in a name and an optional description, and then we can also have a start date and time and an end date and time if we want to. Okay? And then we would save that out. And then when we go into that link, or our students go into that link, it starts up the live chat. And this live chat in Angel has the basic sort of typing chat or keyboard chat, where you type in something down in the lower portion of the screen and then hit enter or the send button. And then that will be displayed to everybody that's in the chat at the time. Okay? So that's pretty simple. We also have a whiteboard that's built in, and it allows you to insert all sorts of graphical designs and things like that. Most of you have probably used a whiteboard at some point. But it has a full array of little tools here. And it also has the desktop sharing. And this would allow you to share your screen with the rest of the participants of the chat.
Jeff, I noticed that there was an option when you added that. Chat. What is the tracking? What does it keep track of?
That's a good question. Let me go back there. And you know, I haven't used that particular feature. And let's look at tracking. Okay.
Most probably it will track who chat.
Who or how many or
Yeah, and typically if I do a little context sensitive help here, it would allow me to search for that. let's see, it's number 3. All posted messages are saved so they can be reviewed in the chat logs. Okay? So everything that they submit will be saved and we can review that. So I'm going to go back and set this one to tracking on. And then anything I do in there is going to be saved out. And what I was trying to find was where it saves that file. Vincent Miller, okay, so we get a little bit of chat going on here with Vince in the back row. Okay, so go ahead and type something and we'll figure this out where it saves this information. Let's see, wonder where to save. Yes. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to, let's say, close this chat. And now we have view logs. Okay, so it just magically appears there. And then everything that was written is numbered, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. That's a neat little feature. Great question, because I have not used that. That's a super little tool. And then you could save that and evaluate their participation or other details. Yes. Good point.
We don't know if it, even if there's a report, I bet you there is. I don't know.
There's a report. Let's see, clear logs, view logs, and let's go up to reports. And let's say class, chat logs, chat sessions, all users, that should cover it. Yeah. Now that's drilled down. I don't know how much that tells you. Total class chat messages.
But you could probably pick individuals in the class. And
You know, I'm not seeing the individuals, but
On the drill down, Jeff, there was a plus.
okay.
Did that possibly show you any more? Jeff?
Okay, there was. Good point. Really hard to see that, but there's a little plus.
look at that.
And then
We don't have that.
we can see, okay, so it just tells individual messages by room. Yeah. So again, that could be used for scoring participation, etc. Okay, good. Okay, so again, typically I can add these chats to my portal pages, which would be the course homepage, the resources, or the communicate. And typically it's going to be by default already there on communicate when you get a blank shell. And then you would just go in and add a live chat with this settings button. Okay, and I've added some other links which we'll look at in just a second. I can add other links that would automatically take me into an Acrobat Pro conference or chat session. And here's an example of that right here. So if I clicked on this as a student, it would take me into that Acrobat session. And we'll look at that in a little more detail later. Now the other part of the chat that we didn't really look at is the sharing of the desktop. And when I tried that earlier this morning in here, it restricted me on adding that application, but it does normally work for most people. I've added that on my local workstation and it worked fine, but in here, for whatever reason, it was restricted. So I can't show you. I can show you how it works. You click on Present to this room, and then once I click this, it would start that program and show them everything on my screen. Okay? And if I clicked as a student, watch the presentation, it would just have a window here where I could see what the instructor was doing on their screen. Okay, so it's pretty simple, pretty easy to use. Okay, any questions so far? Okay. So we'll go back to our Acrobat Connect Pro tool here, and I uploaded this PowerPoint, and I'm just going to advance through it slide by slide. Here's the whiteboard again. Here's the whiteboard toolbar, all the little things you can do on there. And then the desktop sharing. So again, it's a great way to work on projects together. You can view online users and participate either publicly or privately as applications are shared. So we're primarily talking about using this for your online classes today, but you could also use it for like office hours with just individual students. There's a variety of ways that you can use it in your course. And actually one of the ways is right here, is as a sort of a static office place, and I just type in my name like Bob, and this is Cody Copeland's online office, which he has set up, and it's operating like 24 hours a day, and he's put some files in there and some little resources, videos, and things like that. And so it would come up here in a second. Okay, so there's his little desktop, and I'm in as a student, and if I want any of these files, I can just click on those and say save to my computer. If I want to play this video.
It's snowing outside, but
Okay.
I'm not really here. I'm on this beach. Can't you just see me up around there?
Yep. So
Have a nice day.
anyway, so the nice thing about the Acrobat Connect is that the meetings will exist until you stop them. They don't have like a time limit necessarily. You have to manually really stop the meeting. Otherwise it just stays out there, which is a good thing in a way, because anytime the student clicks on a link in Angel, they can go into that chat room and have a chat, you know, either with other students or yourself. Okay, so this is just one example of a sort of a static office use of it. And this link down here, we'll talk about a little bit later, is a pre-recorded session, real brief session that I did this morning. And you can link to this Acrobat Pro recording or archive, and it would start very similarly. It would just open up and then play. You have all the audio and any chat that went on in the meeting. So the two products work really well together. So here's a pre-recorded session, and it just plays. It's going to be really short here, but it just plays. You can probably hear my voice in the background. Yeah. So that's another item. And these are really easy to add in Angel if you haven't done it already. We can say add edit links, and then they're just web addresses that you add in, okay? And the Acrobat gives you those addresses. Like this is the address for today's conference, right there. And you can just copy and paste that in. And here's Cody's address. And you make up your name for your conference. You call it whatever you want, or you can. You have the option to have a custom address, and so you can put whatever you want in there. Now that I tell you the good news, we have 25 rooms, and currently we have 25 people using those rooms. But if you want to try this, you email Vince, and he will figure out some magical way to find you some space if possible. Okay? Okay, so this is communicate links that you can add very easily. Sure.
So that page right down.
acrobat.com/bb for brown bag. Yeah. And then this one is pretty similar, except it's Cody JCCC. And the other one is P409-24418 at the end. Yeah, and that's just a randomly assigned web address or a URL in case you didn't select anything. It just gives you a randomly assigned number. Okay. So now we're going to advance here and look at the Acrobat Connect Pro. You can have up to 100 students connected. It consists of various display pods that you pick out the arrangement for. So up here, there's a little pod area, and if I want a camera on this, I just select that, and the camera starts. Like that. So it's pretty easy. Or I can point it toward you guys. Yeah. If that'll stay there. Yeah, that's the... There we go. Okay, good. It has file sharing pods. So if I pull that up, I can share any number of files, and I can upload anything from the local machine. It has polls. I can ask short questions of my students. It has web links. I can share a web link with students, and then you and the conference could click on it and go to that location. What else? Okay, and so basically it has a lot of capability. It's a full-featured web conferencing tool. And this is basically how you would set up your meeting. You would go to this admin.acrobat.com, and you would have previously gotten your login information, your username and password, and then you would enter your meeting name and custom URL, and then select whether you want it to be only by invitation to specific people, or if anybody that has that link can get into your meeting. So most of the time for Angel usage, we use anybody that has that URL, so they just click on it, and then it lets them into the meeting. They just type out whatever name they want to use to get in, just as a reference name on the chat and the other pods here that we have, like the attendee list. Okay. And these pods I can move into any place that I want, although now it wants to go certain spots here. So this admin.acrobat.com allows me to set up my meeting. Okay, so let's see if it logs me in there. So I would use my login name, and usually it's our full email address, and then my special password for Connect Pro. And let's see. Okay. And then I have my meetings here, and I can add a new meeting just to show you how that works. And there's that form. So you put in whatever you want to name it, and then here's where you put in an optional custom URL. You could just say Jeff's, and I'll just say Jeff's live office hours. Office hours. And then down here is where you can say anyone that has the URL can enter the room, or only registered users that I invite. And actually registered users would need to be from our list of users that we have in Adobe Acrobat. We have 25 users, and it would need to be from that list. Now the other way to do this, the other neat feature of this is I fill this all in, and then I say next, and then it allows me to invite any of these people here that are the 25 users that we have. Okay. And then I can send email invitations. And this is probably what you use the most if you're inviting people on campus. And it just allows me to put in whoever I want to invite, and then modify this, and then here's my new link to get to that meeting. And then I just send that off. Okay, so there's my meeting, and if I click on this link, I'll actually go into that meeting. So it's pretty simple, and here's the other options you have. They're a little more detailed here than we probably want to get into, but you can edit participants of your meeting, sending them invitations, uploaded content, so you can upload your PowerPoints or PDFs. And you probably already figured this out, but the Adobe Connect really loves PDF format. So PDF format has a privileged spot. It's available anytime, anywhere. It doesn't have to be converted. You just click on it, and it automatically is going to be shown to your students. Okay. So again, really all you need is the name, and if you have a custom URL, and then your access choices. And for Angel, typically we're going to leave it anyone that has the link can get into the meeting. Okay. And you can add this link in Lessons, the home page, or Communicate or Resource tabs. Since it's just a URL link, a simple web link, it can go almost anywhere in Angel. You know, so you could add it under one of your lesson areas as a web link. You can add it under Resources, Communicate, tabs, lots of different places that you can add that in. Okay, and here again is a little email invitation that you could send out. And then we have three modes, three general modes or layout modes that you can have. They have a sharing mode, and then a discussion mode, and a collaboration mode. And I'll show you these in the actual program here. This would be the discussion mode. And so it just sort of organizes these pods. They're completely up to your discretion how you want to organize them. But when you click on this little discussion layout button, it sort of uses a default that it thinks is a good way to lay it out. Okay? And then from there, you can click on any of these and move them wherever you want, depending on how much screen space you have to work with. And then the collaboration mode. So one of the really neat features of Adobe Connect is this ability to change your layout of your meeting or your class really easily and quickly. And if we had, you know, a number of different people with video cameras, they would all show up in this one little pod here. We could expand it out to handle any number of up to 100 other folks if they had video capability. A lot of times we just use the audio feature for these conferences, and we don't really necessarily need the video portion to really convey the course, because we have typically PowerPoints, or we can pull up PDFs. Okay. And if I wanted to share some other item, I can do it right down here, this little share button. I can share documents from my content library or from my local machine. And then I'd go to, let's say, project 1. It did convert it. That's okay, so I misled you on that one. I just read that PDFs go through immediately. It just goes to show you.
That was last week.
That was last week? Okay.
Maybe that's version 8.
The version 8 maybe, yeah. It's confusing. So here's a little PDF, and it's just a little project. Now, the other thing we can do, we have the whiteboard overlay. So we can mark this up. Now it got a little smaller there, but we can mark it up with various tools here. Let's use just a plain old pencil tool. And we can mark up stuff with, we can erase stuff, yeah. We can use little arrows. Let's see, little stamp tool, all sorts of little fun stuff. The text tool. Text, yeah. And then we have a clear. Let's see where that is. Where is the clear? The pointer, whiteboard overlay. Okay. Whiteboard tools. Print. Clear. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we also have this pointer overlay that we can move around. This big green pointer. And that's an option also. Okay. So luckily it took us right back where we were in that previous document, that PowerPoint. And these are all the different types of files that you can upload as content. And it has an area where you can upload all your content beforehand, before the conference begins or the meeting begins. And then you just select it out of the list. You have a little drop-down list under this share here. And then you would just have a list of your documents. You can also have the HTML files, Captivate files, audio files, MP3 files, JPEGs, GIFs, or PNGs. And you can have zips that have multiple files plus an index.html, sort of like SoftChalk. And you can upload that whole thing in, and then it's a clickable set of documents. So you can have graphics and multiple web pages as long as there's an index.htm, sort of your home page to start with. Okay, so again, you have all these different capabilities. The whiteboard, you can share your screen, and that was right down here. Share my computer screen. Let's just try that. And you can say applications or windows or just the whole desktop. Okay, so now I'm sharing this and participants should see that. And Vince will verify. You see that probably.
Right now I'm just seeing cursors. I'm not sure.
Maybe it's still working on it.
Yeah.
It says you are sharing the full screen currently. Please click here. There it goes. Okay. For additional options. And then I could stop screen sharing, pause and annotate, or choose a specific window to share. So you got that screen sharing that you can use. Hello. You can also share your student screen. So poor Vince back there, I can actually go over here and send a request to screen share. Okay. And did you get that? Not yet. Okay, requested screen share.
All right, so it just popped up for a second, and then it disappeared.
Then it disappeared, okay. And typically, you may use that if you wanted to look at a particular student's problem that they're having with the software that you're teaching or using in your course. So you can use screen sharing, either your screen or the student's screen. You can also make students, you can grant them microphone rights, and you can also grant them presenter rights, where they could actually display other content. Okay? And let's see, what else? So this is basically your pod window here, where you have all the different things that you can start. You know, you've got the note area, you can do a poll, and it's just a simple poll. So you'd say like, when is the last brown bag this semester? Okay, and then you put one answer per line, which is today, next week, 2 weeks from now. Okay, and then we open the poll. And that's what it would look like, and Vince voted. And then we can say broadcast results. Okay.
Is there any way that we can prepare the polls?
You know, I don't think so. I think it's just on a fly thing, real simple sort of question and answer really quickly type of thing. Anytime we want help, we can go to this Connect Pro help link, and it pulls up a error on page. Okay. A little file here, and then I can type in poll and see what it says. I know, I guess you could copy and paste from a Word document, would be pretty. Let's see if it says something here. Poll conducting polling attendees. Close the answer period for a poll. You know, I don't see, outside of just a single poll question, that you can do any sort of pre-loading of multiple questions.
Before you actually start the session and then activate it later on, right? Yeah, that will work.
Yeah, you could do that, sure. You're only going to be limited to that one question at a time. You could use a Word document. I mean, really, just copy the question and then copy the 4 answers, because it's pretty lenient on where you copy those, just one per line. So that would probably work. Have it in a Word document and just copy and paste as you needed it. Okay. So close poll. So it's pretty simple little utility. That's interesting. 1, 2, there we go. Okay, so we'll advance the slide. And you can also record these sessions real easily. Up here under Meeting, Record Session. It's pretty simple. And you just put in whatever the name is, and you say OK. And then it goes up to this little red button up here is how you're going to stop it eventually. And then it records everything on the screen, and should record the video, the chat, anything that I do on an overlay, whiteboard, etc. And then it's going to save it out, and you can make that link publicly accessible to your students. And actually put that in Angel so you can have a list of previous sessions, and then they can just pull those up and view and hear the, the audio and the presentation itself. Okay, so it says everything that happens in the room is recorded except for the presenter-only area and optional breakout rooms, which we haven't talked about. But we can actually allow groups of students to go into breakout rooms and communicate among themselves. The other option I've seen is you can have a breakout room for audio-video setup purposes, where you go in and another assistant is there to help folks if they're having trouble getting their audio or video working. You can have a little AV setup breakout room.
So Jeff, the software that the students need to have, just the basic.
They don't need anything.
They don't need anything.
No, what it does, it's a little plug-in that automatically installs itself. All you need to give them is a link in Angel or a link in an email, and then once they click on that, it'll say real quickly installing, Connect Pro plug-in, and then they're ready to go. So it's just a little Java plug-in that takes care of all that stuff.
I think that what you can do is, there's a page on the Adobe website somewhere that essentially checks if your browser or your computer meets
yeah.
the standards.
Good
You
point.
can just send your students a link to that page, and I don't remember it right now, but it's there somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
good point. Yeah, because it does need a minimal set of specifications, like a browser and Java, just some basic stuff that you would have if you're using Angel already. Okay, so then if I want to stop this, I just click Stop Recording, and that's it. And it's going to be back at my site when I go back to my meeting area on admin.acrobat.com. It's going to be one of the buttons there, Recordings, and then I can delete them or make them public. By default, they're private initially, so nobody can see them until you approve them. And it has a real minimal editing tool that allows you to cut off portions of it that you don't want, maybe at the beginning or the ending. You can cut real easily portions of it and trim it to the important stuff. Okay, and what else? That's our last slide. So if I go back to my
What if Dr. Miller raises his hand? If he has a question.
Sure.
I saw him raise his hand.
Can you raise your hand?
No, not just.
Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah.
So he has a question.
And what I can do is, that's a good question. Raises his hand, and I can go and give him the microphone rights, see, to ask that question. And he probably doesn't have a microphone today. But I can request a screen share so he could show us maybe an issue he was having. And then I can decline the hand. Okay, so that just tells me who I want to give the mic to. And typically I would give the mic to Vince, and then he would ask his question. Okay.
WebEx has a tiny window where if somebody can write a question.
Yeah. Yeah. And we picked this for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons is it's very inexpensive. It's only like $125 a year per person to use, and you can have as many meetings as you want. You have one room per person, but that room can have any number of meetings. And that's a nice feature. And it's sort of caters to the educational environment because we're sharing a lot of these PowerPoints and documents and so forth. It also has this sidebar that we could click on, which has an index of all your slides. It reduces your main PowerPoint just a little bit, but it allows you to go anywhere in the presentation immediately. Okay, what other questions do you have, if any?
He wants to share his desktop, that's going to require him to have certain software, or he can just share it?
Yeah, I think we tried that. I sent a request.
Let me click the link here.
Now, was everybody able to sign in our little roster? If you didn't, be sure to do that. And we also have plenty of treats over there left, so be sure to take some. And it looks like it's coming up, Vince. So I'm going to see Vince's desktop. There it is. And now he can do anything he wants. Let's see you do something. And of course, anytime you're dealing with like this full screen video streaming or capture, it's going to have a little delay effect, is what I'm guessing. So we know it's 63 degrees outside. Okay, so he's using a few menu things. And typically we're going to have audio for most of the participants, and that audio track is going to be very important. The questions and hearing the instructor talk is a very important component of the meeting. And so I would typically give Vince the microphone rights, and he would describe what he's doing on his desktop. And that's going to make it a lot more sense to everybody in the meeting.
I'd like to use this for my final project presentation. My students have computer programming projects that they have as a final project.
Yeah.
So I try to do an online chat and present, So they did a summary of what they were going to do online,
Yeah.
and they presented in class. But for a pure online class, this would be just great.
Yeah.
So if you have some private folders you don't want to display, then you can just kind of hide it maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a lot of capabilities here to, what was I going to show you here? I'm trying to think. You were talking about hiding things until you want them to see it? Or?
Or like if someone has a very bad picture that I don't want other
Oh,
students to
okay.
see.
Oh, yeah, like if Vince showed something that wasn't acceptable, I can just say, cancel, revoke the screen share rights,
Okay.
like this, and then it's should be taken away, okay? And then I can load in either my screen, any sort of document here that I've used previously, or I could go to a whiteboard. I have a full array of options to,
So you have the rights.
yeah, I have the rights now, yeah.
One really important thing to tell your students is that everything on their screen will be visible. I've seen presentations where somebody presented in front of 400 people, all of a sudden Outlook puts out a little notice with embarrassing, emails.
Yeah.
That can happen to students as well, so there is a privacy issue there that you will have to address,
Yeah.
including yourself, because sometimes you just leave your Outlook open and then who knows what's going to come up. So, yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
When I tried to use Angel desktop sharing,
Uh-huh.
it said, warning, the students will be able to gather everything from your desktop and use it. Is that a problem?
Well, I mean, I think it's just what we were saying just previously, is that be careful of what your desktop looks like, because you could have all sorts of things sitting out there, and they're going to see everything. I think what Angel's saying is everything that's on your desktop is going to be viewable.
But they can't edit or modify?
No, no,
Okay.
of course not.
I have my photograph folder. I don't want students gathering my
No.
photos and
No.
messing it.
That would be quite a trick to have that happen.
Okay,
So yeah, it's going to protect you, and
Okay.
yeah, the Angel screen desktop sharing is a good tool. It's just that we found it may not be compatible with every machine for whatever reason. So use it with,
So if one or two students can't access this for some reason, they don't have video sharing, microphone, whatever.
yeah, they still have the chat here, like the regular chat. Right here, they could still type in the chat window. Yeah, that would be their alternative. And they would see all the presentation. It takes a very minimal machine to be compatible with the Adobe Connect. So basically just, you know, like Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Java, just a basic configuration, just like you would need for Angel, is going to work. And then it installs its little special plug-in, and they're ready to go.
And what about bandwidth? Is there a problem using this?
Well, like with all web conferencing, there's a slight, you know, we've got a lot better bandwidth on campus here now, but you have to deal with each student's bandwidth and things like that. So they might not have an optimal, you know, speed to do this sort of web conferencing. In most cases, they do. So
this will use the college server, right?
well, this actually uses the Acrobat or Adobe server. Yeah, we're logged in. That's why we see a little bit of a delay probably on some of these operations, is we're actually logged in and they host the whole system. They host the whole system, and
So it's not compatible with iPads or iPhones yet.
There is an application out there that Adobe has. It's for Android and iOS, but
Yeah.
I haven't tested it.
it just initially came out this year, and I think it may even be like a beta. I'm not sure about that.
I think viewing this on phones would be hugely painful because you can't really see everything, but on an iPad, I think that would be.
So,
Yeah. And I know there is an app, but again, I don't know. It's a little bit.
One thing that I'll mention that Jeff and I have talked about is actually doing this for all of our tech brown bags, so that if people are sitting back at their desk and they want to chat or listen, that you can do that too. So it might be a tool.
Okay, so it says Connect Pro Mobile is now available for iPhone or iPad. Yeah, so it doesn't look like it's beta. And
Angel uses only Explorer and Firefox. So if I use Safari, which I have right here, it won't work.
that's a good question. I'm not sure if Safari, that'd be easy to find out.
It says no.
It says no?
Well, it said no and then it connected, so.
Okay. This is what it looks like on an iPhone, roughly. So it's a lot smaller screen as your major. Okay, any other questions? Thanks for coming. If you didn't sign the roster, be sure to do that. Appreciate it. Thanks.